Hello and welcome to another episode of Words with Myself. About half a decade ago, I was fortunate enough to be able to travel to Bali in Indonesia. And while I was there, I visited several temples, and they had the Meru Towers, these beautiful constructs where they're quite slim but very tall, and they kind of look like pine cones in the way that they are layered. And on one particular temple visit, we had to get a coach there with a number of other travellers. And we sort of got to talking, and one of the men I met out there was telling me about how he'd travelled quite extensively in his life, and he had been all over the world. And we got off and went our separate ways, and everyone was exploring the temple. And I remember spending this whole time thinking about how magnificent and beautiful every inch of the temple was. They had these gardens with beautiful flowers and these huge incense bowls which are pouring out this absolutely wonderful aroma throughout the temple. And I really just had an amazing time, and I was fully present and just exploring and looking at all the architecture and all of the different artwork around the temple and just having a wonderful time. And when I got back to the coach, and I saw the gentleman I was speaking to earlier, and he asked me, "What did you think of the temples?" And I said, I thought they were fantastic. I really enjoyed myself and had a wonderful time. And I asked him what he thought of the temples. And he said something which really shocked me and kind of threw me back. He effectively said something along the lines of, once you've seen one temple, you've seen them all. And I thought, wow, what a dim outlook to have, especially for someone so well-travelled, for someone who obviously loves travelling and experiencing different cultures. For that to be your viewpoint, for you to think that just because you've seen a temple somewhere else that was maybe larger or had more to it, that somehow reduced the beauty of the temple that we were at. And I remember at the time, I sort of vowed to myself that I would never end up like that I would never get to a point in my life where I had kind of lost my love of life and was just simply comparing everything to something else that I'd done and not able to fully enjoy the experience anymore. And I hadn't really thought much of this conversation until yesterday. And I attended a fireworks display, as is typical of the 5th of November celebrations. And as the fireworks were going off, I was kind of in this jaded sort of viewpoint, and I was thinking, oh, well, this isn't as good as the ones last year or the time before that, and fireworks displays are generally getting worse, not better, and every time I go to them, I'm kind of less and less impressed. And that's when I caught myself, and I thought, hold on, I'm exactly like that man that I met in Bali. I have reneged on my promise, and I have allowed myself to become compromised in my love for life. And rather than just being in the present moment and enjoying the spectacle that was going on, instead I spent a majority of the time thinking about how it wasn't good enough and how it didn't meet my expectations. Now, I could let myself off the hook and just say, well, maybe it was a bad firework display. Maybe it was just one time. But in truth be told, I know in my heart that that's not the case. It was simply I wasn't present, and I wasn't taking something for what it was. I wanted it to be something else because I had set this expectation of what I was going to view and what I wanted to get from it. And it wasn't meeting those expectations. It wasn't making me feel like I wanted it to make me feel. It wasn't capturing my attention in the way I wanted it to capture my attention. And I wanted that feeling of awe and that, wow, look at that. And I didn't have that. And a lot of people will just resign to the fact that that is how things go. And, once you've seen something so many times, it just loses its effect after a while. And that might be the case. It might just be that I've been to one too many fireworks displays and I wasn't excited enough for it. And one thing in particular is that I really like doing the firework displays. I like lighting the fireworks and then running away and seeing them go up and explode. And that's somewhat the most enjoyable part for me. So watching someone else do fireworks was slightly less engaging than I'm used to. So it also could be that. But still, deep down, I'm still acutely aware that there is this aspect of comparison and expectation. And we've probably all heard the phrase, comparison is the thief of joy. And we're all bad for this, especially nowadays. We all have the internet and we see other people living lives, and people are very public with their lives, and typically they only share the best aspects or the good aspects, and they filter out all of the bad. And we can get this real sense of jealousy or envy or lack in our own life because we're comparing it to the very best parts of someone else's life. And we do this across multiple, if not all, aspects of our life. And we compare ourselves to whether we're better looking than someone else, or stronger, or fitter, or healthier, or have more money, or a better job, or more status. But instead of seeing the beauty in what we have, instead of being grateful and appreciative of all the amazing things in our lives, we can get stuck in the bad habit of thinking that the grass is always green on the other side. That somebody's life is better than your life, or that what someone else has is much better than what you have. And of course, that is entirely subjective. And if we're talking about material possessions, there's always going to be someone with a bigger boat, or a better car, or more houses, or a bigger house, or something like that. There's always going to be that person that comes along and has something that you want that you don't have, because it's somewhat the nature of the behavior that it's never ending and always deepening. And if you take a look at the biblical 7 deadly sins, that's a commonality between all of them. They all entail the never-ending pursuit of more, or bigger, or better, or more exciting. Any time you are pursuing life through one of these modalities, you will realize that it's a never-ending race. If you're pursuing wealth, there's never any amount of money that will truly make you satisfied. If you are gluttonous, no meal will suffice. There will always be something else that you want. You will never truly be at peace because you are always in a state of desire. You are chasing after something that you don't have. And in that moment, I was chasing after a thrill, a feeling. I wanted to be captured. I wanted to be uplifted. And I'd already had quite a long day and a long week and a busy week at work. And I was already kind of a bit down and a bit stressed. And I was expecting this to kind of pull me out and to elevate me and bring me up to this amazing, wonderful experience where I could be like, wow, look at that. That's amazing. And instead of actually watching the display and allowing it to do so, I was interfering with it and judging it as it was happening and questioning it, why it wasn't making me do that. Why wasn't it lifting me up? Why wasn't I captured by this? It must be the fault of the firework display. And it really isn't. It was my responsibility and my own judgments and my own preconceived notions and expectations that I had placed upon it that was causing this emotional unrest. And while there is this human nature aspect of it, that we are inquisitive and knowledge seeking, and we are looking for more experience. We don't want to limit our experience to a single thing. That really is one aspect of it. And you can look at a piece of art, for instance, and you have this painting and you're looking at it, and you can look for it 5 minutes and go, I'm bored. Why am I looking at this picture for 5 minutes? But there are people that dedicate their lives to studying a particular piece of artwork. And they can notice every brushstroke, all of the little intricacies, every marvellous detail that was carved into that piece of work. So it's not just a case of, well, it's natural to get bored. It's perfectly normal. There is this other aspect to it that I can see, which is that if we allow ourselves to get into this habit of comparing and ranking things and choosing quantity over quality, the less appreciation and gratitude I believe you experience. You're always looking for more, and if more isn't given, you're not happy. And in a society where we are constantly consuming, and the rate of our attention spans, the rate that we go through new things or get bored is all plummeting. The demand has got into a state where it wants everything right now. And after you've got it, it's buy on to the next thing, because it gets old very quick, because the rate and the pace of things is moving so rapidly. And there's very little time for gratitude, very little time for peace when you are constantly pursuing more. And now, as our expectations are growing and demand is increasing, it becomes more important than ever than to take time and slow down and appreciate what you have, appreciate what is in front of you, to slow down on consumption, to stop pursuing the next thing, to stop always looking for more, and instead to enjoy what you have, Enjoy the experience that is right at your feet. And instead of focusing on the next goal or the next project or the next task or when you're going to feel good again, instead take a moment just to appreciate what you have and fully enjoy it, see it through. Like most people, even when they're doing something they love to do, and I'm guilty of this too, like even if I'm eating a meal that I enjoy, I'm almost racing through it to get to the next thing that I have to do. Or I might race through dinner to get to dessert. But this habitual pursuit of what's next erodes any joy, any happiness, any satisfaction that we can possibly get from it, because it passes so quickly and our interest in it wavers so rapidly that how can we possibly appreciate it? How can we possibly be satisfied? So next time you catch yourself doing something and it's not meeting your expectations, or it's not giving you the jollies that you think that it should, it's not making you happy, or it's not exciting you, or you think it's boring, take a moment to appreciate the fact that being bored is a privilege. It's a courtesy. It's something that is afforded to you because you are comfortable and safe. And many people are fighting for their lives continuously and they don't have time to be bored. And maybe it's not giving you this quick dopamine hit that you were expecting. But if you can sit down and appreciate and be grateful for the experience, be present for it, and enjoy it for what it is, not what you want it to be, you will find the most beautiful and joyful experience in everything you do. Thank you for listening.